Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for movie fans just like you. Disclaimer at the top of the show, we're not experts, but we do love watching movies. With me each and every episode is my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and movie insider, Protolexis.
Finally, it's Denzel's turn on the pod.
Finally. After nearly 300 episodes. Every movie that we cover is connected to a theme for that month, and this time it's Protopendence. Our spiritual advisor gave Danny and I categories and movies to choose from, and we did. In this episode, it's my first pick, Training Day from 2001. And you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip right to that discussion. Andy Stone in the VHS Village community left. Danny's disgust.
Can't imagine.
Andy Stone from our VHS Village community left a review about this movie. Tag 70mm pod. Quote, before sunrise for dudes with Scarface posters on their wall.
I don't like it, but it's pretty good.
That's good. No, that's really good.
You have to give them respect, okay?
Yeah.
You don't have to like it, but you can respect it. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so we're like 24 hours from having recorded our last episode.
Right.
So we haven't watched anything. I mean, I've watched some things, but these two haven't watched anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know what they're doing over there. Who knows? They're watching The Caped Crusader on Amazon Prime and giving up after 4 episodes, for all we know.
Stay tuned.
So we thought it might be fun to talk about our fave first watches of 2024
Yeah.
for the opening segment of the show.
Opening ceremonies.
The Simone Biles on the lunger or whatever, the pommel horse.
Oh my God, The Last Supper.
Get them.
Sorry.
So our fave first watches, these could be new movies out 2024, new to us 2024. It doesn't matter. So we'll have 3 picks each. Doesn't necessarily have to be the top 3. Could be 3 of your faves for the year. You know, this show's all about spreading love. You know, maybe giving some movie recos out there for people that haven't seen them. So why not start with the brains behind Protopendence himself, Benjamin Proto Franklin. What's one movie that you have, you know, at near the top, the apex, if you will, of your fave first watches of the year?
I love that. It's keeping it thematic for the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is hard, folks. This ain't easy because what I did is I went through my diary and looked at my 5 and 4-star reviews, and I just started clicking and adding, and I've got 7 on in this private list currently.
Gosh,
it's a hard thing to choose. I've seen a bunch of good movies, but if I'm recommending for folks, all right, this first one's easy. I think I watched back in what was the day for this? Back in February, Tampopo.
Oh wow!
I saw this when I saw this on my reviews. I was like, oh my God, this movie, this changed my life. It's about it's a Japanese noodle Western.
Okay.
Really,
Okay.
what more do you need to know?
Game over.
Yeah.
It's about food. It's about love. It's about life. It's about helping your fellow man, finding love, finding food that you love. I gave it 5 stars. It was a delightful time. It's streaming on Max. There's no excuse for anyone listening.
The Movie Mixtape podcast just covered that from the Tape Deck Network
They never
Enterprise. Tampopo. I added that to my watch list after you raved, but then I cleared out my watch list. So I don't know if it's still there.
It's
to be
probably
honest.
not.
Bankruptcy.
I declared watch list bankruptcy, and I kept it quiet. But for right now, it's in a good place. What do I? Let me see. Let me go through my list here. Let me just see what I want
Of
to
course, you're not prepared.
go through. I mean, there is one that I really had a great time with. This is a 4.5-star jobber. It's called Rolling Thunder from 1977.
Okay.
You heard about this? William Devane, Tommy Lee Jones.
No.
Great poster. I think it just got probably a nice physical release. I think I watched it on Prime. Recently returned Vietnam POW loses his family and his right hand during a violent home invasion, and he seeks retribution against those responsible. So this is 1977. This is prime time where you want to see a movie like this. I hear snickering on the call.
We're just laughing. That's all.
I hear snickering, but I dare you to watch this movie and not enjoy it.
Well,
I dare you.
I'm snickering because I remember reading your review, and I remember there was some kind of line in this review that stood out to me. And it's you have a line: Tommy Lee Jones quietly putting a shotgun together as he gets a hand job is a triumph.
Like I said, I dare you to watch this movie and not love it. I mean, it also deals with like the lead character. He was like he has PTSD from being a prisoner of war. So in some of the scenes like where the home invasion happens, he like freezes up, and then there's several scenes like the line that I loved. I wrote my review. This is a non-HJ line, H job.
Okay.
That's how you beat people that torture you. You learn to love them. They don't know you've beaten them. So I thought it was a pretty deep movie. A lot of fun. And this was a J Whale recommendation. J Whale, also a member of our community. When I see J Whale give like a 4-star or higher to a 70s or 80s movie, I perk up.
Okay.
I perk up. Okay. Danny, what's on your list?
The first one that came across that I wanted to spotlight was the 2023 film starring Judy Greer called Aporia. It's the lo-fi sci-fi time travel movie that I just absolutely loved. It's one of those movies that kind of, fits that lo-fi void vibe, and it's about she's a single mother raising her child. Husband was killed by a drunk driver, and their mutual close friend is like a super scientist, and he figured out kind of how to time travel, but it's not strong enough to send a human back in time, but it's strong enough to send a pulse that could kill someone. And so they could send it to a time and place to kill someone, and how that would cause a butterfly effect to maybe save her husband from being killed by the drunk driver. So I loved that film. I thought Judy was amazing in it. And it really kind of has a great kind of spiral, kind of out of control, but it's a very condensed story, and I loved it.
When will we cover the butterfly effect on the show?
I knew
tech
you were going to say that.
entrepreneur Ashton Kutcher.
My God.
Listen, has anyone watched a video with Ashton Kutcher on YouTube in the last 5 or 10 years?
Oh God.
This guy, I don't use the term grifter lightly, but there is a grift happening in the tech space. Okay?
Be safe. I mean, is it fair to say that we're living within a golden era of lo-fi sci-fi?
Confirmed.
Yeah, I think so.
You've confirmed it right now, Pardo.
You just did.
Confirmed.
These big budget movies can eat it. Tired of them.
Pardo, next top movie?
Next on my list, a movie I watched back in June, Peugeot. This was a part of my Criterion Challenge this year, and this is a movie about these young kids living on the street in, was it Brazil? I think it was Brazil. Street kids. But I was really taken by this movie. It's a tough watch, but it's like, it's like capital C cinema type of movie. It reminded me of City of God a lot. Even kind of like Roma had like the similar vibes to me in this, of just kind of how it's like despairing, but also like bittersweet and like hopeful at the same time in some ways, of just like you follow these kids who are just stuck in this life. They didn't choose it, and they're just trying to survive and going through hell. It's a pretty powerful story and like a different look at just like what life can be. It's just so far removed from anything that I have experienced in my life up to this point, and seeing like a 12-year-old go through things unimaginable is just like really powerful. So if you want to buckle up, I recommend Peugeot. I gave it 5 stars.
Buckle up and perk up. That's what people need to do. So how many movies do I have on here? I got 9 movies on this private list.
Hello.
A couple of that were episodes of ours. I guess we've had some 5 bang first viewings this year.
Yeah.
High and Low was one of them. That's not what I'm going to say. High and Low is not a movie
This
I'm
is
about
cheating.
what I'm going to say. I do recommend that people seek out Thelma. Remember the movie Thelma? It kind of came and went, probably on video on demand for all
The old lady?
Yeah, the 93-year-old.
Funny, right?
Thelma Post gets duped by a phone scammer pretending to be her grandson, and so she sets out on a treacherous quest across the city to reclaim what was taken from her. I thought this was adorable. Might be my movie of the year, as I said in my review.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll say it right now. I don't give an S who's listening. But anyone who has a grandmother or a mother of that age, you can see, like, I saw my entire family in this movie at various points. June Squibb, a revelation. I hope she gets nominated for Oscar, and I hope she wins. It's a great movie. I wrote one of my gag reviews. I said, I saw the TV glow, but for people with aging parents or grandparents.
My God.
Do with that what you will.
I don't get it.
Okay. Thelma.
It is now the 761st movie on my watch list.
Maybe it's time for you to declare watch list bankruptcy pro.
I'm rich. I'm rich, my friend. Not giving up this wealth.
Okay, Danny.
I'm going to go back to a movie I logged in February. It came out in 2023. I didn't get to watch it until it was streaming. The Iron Claw.
Oh,
5-star movie.
yeah.
I thought Zac Efron was incredible in this film. I thought the story was incredible. In tears at the end. Holt McCallany. Love him as the father in this film. I just, this movie got me good. I thought about the other day, I was going through my A24 zines. They had a fantastic zine for this movie. So yeah, The Iron Claw. If you like sports movies, this could be for you.
Brotherhood.
Heavy story.
Sweat, hair.
tears, wigs.
Sweat.
Yeah.
It's got it all.
Zac Efron walking around in that movie, I was just afraid at any moment, like he was just going to bust out of his clothes. Like they would just like start ripping apart.
Yeah.
His
I don't even think he needed to get that ripped for the movie, because the guy he was playing wasn't
Yeah.
like even mega ripped from his, like, or body size.
Man, I think
Still-
about that scene where he's sitting at the diner with Lily James. I forget the name of her character, Pam. And when she says something about wrestling being fake, gosh, I loved his response. I don't remember what it said, but it was so earnest and it felt like honest, and I loved it.
He said,
Zach
go
is so good.
He said, go sit and spin, Pam.
Golly.
Yeah, that was the 70s.
Can you say that?
Yeah, you can now.
What?
Whose turn is it? Is it Proto's turn?
I think it's back to me. My final third movie. I'm going to pick a movie from this year,
Okay.
2024. A highlight of the theater experience for me this year. Maybe my favorite movie of 2024 so far. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh my
hell yeah.
gosh. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I mean, if you're sleeping on Kingdom because it's the 17th movie in the series, you need to wake up and watch this movie. I mean, it's on Hulu now. Again, no excuse. My recommendation, it's the highest recommendation that you can hear about a movie. Go out and watch it. I mean, it's amazing special effects. We all saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all thought it was real apes. We covered this movie.
Yeah.
We had to check if it was really CGI.
It's true.
Incredible.
We sued them to get proof that it was CGI.
We took them to court.
God, remember the bird song? The one scene.
It's time to go back.
I mean, who are the geniuses behind the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the Apes trilogy, where they've rebooted it 3 times and it's still hot and fresh?
That's a good point.
My last one, I'm gonna go fun one too. You know, I went hard on my rating and review for this movie. It was a date night in my review. It's not often when I say this in a review.
Here we go.
But I said a triumph was my first line. The Fall Guy. 5-star experience in theater seeing this. I had so much fun. David Leitch, Emily Blunt, Ryan Gosling. So much fun. I mean, they don't make them like this anymore. And it made no money, so that's why they don't make them like this anymore. Because it's not cost effective. But I mean, is this rent? Can you rent this? It
was rentable the week after it came out. They gave like a 30-minute extended version.
I don't
apparently.
understand what happened. Like, why did this movie just fail so hard? Like, they were marketing this at the A, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Ryan was showing up to stunt shows at a theme park to promote this.
That YouTube video got recommended to me. I
Did you
actually
watch it?
watched him at a Fall Guy stunt show.
Yeah.
And
it
I
was the
like,
Waterworld stunt show that they turned into the Fall Guy stunt show.
Like, what more do they need to do?
Yeah.
This movie did come out in May, though. Like, if it came out in July, do you think it would have been different?
That's a good question.
Great question.
Maybe like, 4th of July weekend.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
People are hungry to get out of the heat. This
Yeah.
heat wave that hasn't broken yet.
It's unstoppable, this heat wave, and I'm tired of it.
Climate change.
Danny?
I'm going new fun watch as well. Just happened this month. Or I guess last month. It's August now. Twisters. Absolutely love Twisters. Incredible fun time at the theater. I thought it was a great follow-up to the first movie, which is also an incredible fun time. It just doesn't get much better than a summer movie than Twisters. I just had a great time watching it. I think Glenn Powell is cooking with gas right now. I'm afraid for the fall off on him. People protect him, please. Daisy Edgar-Jones, love her too. She's incredible as well. It's just a fun cast. Really had a good time watching it.
We don't need him getting Lin-Manuel Miranda'd.
Okay.
Gets so hot
that's
that
Slim.
he gets like nuclear.
Slim is saying that.
That people start to turn.
Slim
I'm not
is saying
saying who has turned on Lin. He's a very successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
Just saying it could happen. I was looking at the box office numbers. Not the box office is
Money
the end all
doesn't
be all.
matter here.
But Twisters made 81 mil opening weekend domestic.
It's pretty good.
Fall Guy made 27. Can we get some essays written on what happened?
Someone smarter than us.
Yeah, I'm not that smart. So there you have it. That's all of us. Those are our 3. Maybe we'll make a list and put it on our Letterboxd account.
It's a
An
great
official
idea.
Letterboxd 70mm pod list for people
Even write
to
a blog.
see that list. Every week we give out a free year of Letterboxd patron, and we're going to try something different. We're going to give it to a patron of ours on patreon.com/70mm. Emma joined our Patreon this week, got access to the VHS Village Discord, exclusive episodes, over 50 episodes just available on our Patreon. And Isabel has just won a free year of Letterboxd. Patreon gets rid of ads, get backdrops, custom backdrops,
Congrats.
and a whole host of other features. So congratulations, Isabel. Should we get into Training Day?
Before we do, could we just? I want to point something out, Slim. I appreciate all that you do for the show, and I did notice that we did Gone in 60 Seconds last week, but you followed up and you watched the sequel to Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's not true.
You watched our boy Dominic Cena's next movie, Swordfish.
Yeah.
Now, I've never seen this movie. You gave this 4 stars, and I remember this movie getting like trashed. And when I look at my friends list, it's not above like 2 stars. So what's going on? with this.
I mean, if you look, I logged it in 2019 and I gave it 2 stars. So
What happened?
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember. I remember this movie being at the video store. This is 2001. This is prime time for your old pal
Iconic
Slim.
poster.
Yeah, this iconic poster. Even the backdrop is just like a PR photo of Halle Berry, John Travolta, and Hugh just standing there. It's very bizarre, but I can't get enough of it. There's just something about this movie that I found in just a delight. It's weird. It's Dominic Sena on a whole new level from Gone in 60 Seconds. And Hugh Jackman plays like one of the world's greatest hackers. He's living off grid, and Halle Berry comes to like offer him a job for John Travolta. And it has one of the most insane moments that I can think of in a movie. Like, I don't know why more people don't talk about this scene, but when he first gets like introduced, he gets flown out to meet John Travolta, who's giving the performance of a lifetime as like this guy who, you know, I don't know, like import or export or whatever. So he has to give like this display that he has the goods as a hacker, or he might just get shot in front of John Travolta. So he turns this laptop around and it's like the Department of Defense login. And he's like, see what you can do with this, Hugh Jackman. And Hugh has to like hack into the DOD. But at the same time, John Travolta advises one of his muses to give Hugh Jackman a furrows eyebrows. I'm trying to think of a funny way to phrase this word, like the new old fashioned down there.
Excuse me.
Yes. Oh. Like she would go downtown. So he is having this put on him as he's trying to hack into the Department of Defense. Oh my God. Like it is full on. It's pretty insane. It's a wild moment, and it gets wilder. It has a big cast. Don Cheadle plays the cop that is kind of after him, like Delroy Lindo was for Nicolas Cage. Vinnie Jones is also in this. I had a lot of fun. That's all you need. I had fun. It looked great. I said my review, Cena had the juice.
I'm happy for you. I
don't know what happened though, like with Dominic Sena. Like I look at his filmography, and he did another Nicolas Cage movie, Season of the Witch, which I've not seen.
Is that not for Halloween?
No, this is like some Black Plague Crusader movie. 2.2 on Letterboxd.
Oof.
And then he hasn't really done anything else. So I'm not really sure what Dominic Sena has been up to, personally.
The Antoine Fuqua of his day.
Oh my gosh.
Will you be watching Swordfish, the sequel to Gone in 60 Seconds, Proto?
I'm putting it on the watch list. It's 762.
Well, you'll see it in 10 years from now, if we're all still alive, when Florida gets usurped by the ocean and is sucked down.
Excuse me.
The new old-fashioned. Okay, episode 231, Training Day, was my pick for Bad Cops Do Crime, I believe the category was that Proto had offered. Proto, do you remember off the top of your head the other picks that were available besides Training Day? Bad Lieutenant was in there.
Yeah, Bad Lieutenant. Deep Cover was also in it. And I'm pulling it up now. One moment, please. Where is it? Oh, The Departed.
Oh, The Departed.
The Departed. We'll get to The Departed one day. We'll get to it. I just felt like it's not time yet.
Mark Wahlberg month.
Oh my God. What about the one? Did you watch the trailer for that movie that he's coming out in where he like shaved his head to look bald, but he like shaved just the top and the sides stayed, where he's like a pilot?
What?
Yeah, Mel Gibson directed it, I think.
Yes.
It looks pretty crazy.
Passion of the Christ 2.
Starring Mark Wahlberg. God, what if?
Yo.
Oh my God. Because he's like a super Catholic.
Yeah, he's a super
now.
Catholic.
This is crazy.
What?
Dude. All right, we need to move on. I can't focus right now
on this.
Training Day 2001. Antoine Fuqua. Proto, what is this movie?
Alonzo is a narcotics detective for the Los Angeles Police Department. He is a highly decorated officer who has incarcerated countless criminals. but he has come to use illicit means to achieve his goals. Jake Hoyt is assigned to work with Alonzo for a day as an evaluation for his promotion to the team. Hoyt is shocked by Alonzo's methods and grapples with whether this is how the war on drugs needs to be fought. But as the day unfolds, Hoyt discovers that there is more to Alonzo than he let on, and that his first training day may be his last.
Well said. David Ayer. Remember David Ayer?
Who can forget him?
Oh, yeah.
SWAT. End of Watch. Wrote the Fast and the Furious as well.
Mm-hmm.
Fury. And then I think he directed Suicide Squad as well. Wrote and directed Suicide Squad with Will Smith, Jared Leto, Margot Robbie.
Has he ever missed?
Didn't he have like some stuff happen with Suicide Squad? Like it got taken from him and was like re-edited. Does anybody remember? Does it ring a bell to anybody?
I think Ron Howard came in and redid everything.
Can you imagine the junket of Ron Howard talking about Suicide Squad? I'm not even going to do an impression. It's too much.
Do you have a Ron Howard impression?
I've been working on it.
Oh.
Like quietly. Maybe I'll do like an IG story of me working on my Ron Howard impressions. Okay. So 2001, I've said it oftentimes. This was when I was working at the video store. So this is a poster, a DVD cover that I've seen. You know, it's like etched into my memory. And I probably have not watched this movie until, like, the last time I watched it was probably 2001, 2002 in that video store. I remember really enjoying Training Day, but like at the time, I think I was kind of not paying attention to the Oscar talk. Like this was the one that he won for. I think at the time, maybe there was talk that it was like a makeup, Oscar for him because he's had so many like big ones that he was great in this, but some people didn't think he was like the best of the year, but he was great. Remember the Titans was the movie just before this from Denzel.
Did he get nominated for that too?
Maybe he should have. The Hurricane, which we talked about, I think in the Uncut episode last week. Before that, The Bone Collector, Siege, He Got Game, Fallen, Philadelphia years before that. So then after Training Day, it was John Q. Remember that movie? Where he was like, kidnapped it. Well, he didn't held people hostage for family. Antoine Fisher, Man on Fire, Inside Man, Deja Vu. So he was still cooking hard. Dan, did you watch this in 2001 at all?
I feel like I did, and I've told myself that I've seen this movie, but when I sat down to watch it this time, I couldn't tell you a damn thing about this film outside of King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me. That's all I remember from this film. So I didn't know the plot twists. I didn't know anyone's character intentions. It really did feel like sitting down and watching it for the first time. And I think maybe I've told myself I watched this so many times because it feels like when you talk about like 90s films or Denzel, it's like, oh, Training Day. Like it's like the Citizen Kane of the 90s or something. But yeah, I feel like I've seen this. I know I've seen it. I don't remember it. I probably saw it too young to where I just would rather be watching like Fast and Furious.
You were throwing touchdowns when this movie came out, right?
No, we were graduated, Slim, please.
You were getting married to Casey. You didn't have time for Training Day at the movie theater.
True. I threw off my graduation cap and went straight to the altar.
We still haven't gotten any photos of Casey's Mustang that she was talking about last week.
Oh, yeah, we got to find them.
Where are those photos? Casey's in bed. Pardo?
I did not see this in 2001. I would have been a little too young. But I feel like this might have been a movie that my parents rented and watched. And when they would do that at this time, it was really sad for me because our TV was in the basement. So, if my dad loved movies, he's always watched movies. But he had no qualms about kicking us kids out of the room so he could watch an adult movie, but also blast it. My dad loved and still loves to watch everything very loud. Yeah, he's always loved good sound systems. So I would be like, I could hear the whole movie no matter where I went in the house, but I couldn't watch it basically.
Goodness.
And it was a real bummer to get kicked out of the basement where the TV was, because also the family computer was there.
Oh.
So at this point, it was like, I have nothing. I'm, all I can hear is the bass throughout the house of Training Day or whatever it was that was on. So I watched this a couple years later, I guess. I must have just like, it stuck out in my mind as something I wanted to see. And I remember being kind of like unprepared for this movie. I think like the thrill of this movie, the way it was shot, the content of it, at the time, I don't think I'd seen something like it. And it kind of shook me to my core. So that's my main memory of watching this, of just being like, I'd never seen a movie quite like it before.
That bathtub scene must have rocked your world.
Yeah.
Did you get flashbacks rewatching it?
Yeah.
He saw himself in poor little Hoyt.
Let's see. So we'll go around the room and talk about maybe our top points on this rewatch necessarily. First thing I just want to say is how I watched it. This isn't maybe like a point, but I just want to mention it. So we moved my office back upstairs. I used to be in the basement, in a dingy basement, but my son and I just switched rooms because I kind of had enough of the dingy basement. So I brought the TV, the LG OLED, upstairs and hung it on the wall. But the office is like near our master bedroom. Uh-oh. So I wore my Beats Fit Pro headphones because they like sync really well with Apple TV. Let me tell you something. That's a smooth experience because like I was wearing my earbuds listening to this movie and watching it, but it has like that spatial audio. So like I'm looking at the TV, the audio is head on, but if I turn left, it like tricks the earbuds to make it seem like the audio is still like it's like I'm listening to a TV without headphones on. So like I turn left, the audio is like only in my right ear.
What?
It's pretty wild. I don't know why they do that, but it's kind of cool.
I feel like you're one step away from watching movies on VR at this point.
I would love to get an Apple headset and watch.
Can you imagine Training Day in VR?
Oh my God. So yeah, it's been 20 years since I've seen this. I guess one of my first points, obviously Denzel's great, but like it takes place in one day. It's like one of those movies that is just over the course of one day. And you're like, oh yeah, Training Day, idiot. But I kind of forgot that it's literally just a 24-hour period. It's like one day of work. And there was like one moment where it's like after he is coming down from PCP, it's like, oh my God, this is still the same day. Like this poor guy going through all of this stuff.
It's only
and I
noon.
think that was even before he gets like his ass beat and almost murdered in the bathtub.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one of the worst days you could probably have for a human being. And I thought Ethan Hawke, I didn't realize he had not gotten nominated as well for a supporting actor, but he was amazing in this movie. Like every time the camera is on him and he just like looks miserable and he's just like, I can't believe this is my life right now. But yeah, the one day aspect I had forgotten about, and it's like, the upper echelon of one day movies is like After Hours and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Mikey and Nikki. But man, this is like an all-timer one-day movie. Felt bad for everyone involved, to be honest. Pardo, what about you?
Yeah, that's such a crazy part. I kind of think of it. It's like 1 36-hour day. It feels like, like I kind of don't really
overtime.
I don't buy the timeline necessarily in this movie. It's like, you tell me, because he does the PCP and then he goes to his girl's house. He takes a nap on the couch. Then they go to like see the wise men. And then they go to the house. Then they kill the guy. It's like, this just doesn't totally add up. This is a jam-packed day. This is really one day. But that's the magic of movies, folks. That's why we love them.
Yeah.
I think I love that kind of bit where kind of as we watch, like I even love movies that I guess it reminds me of like 24 or something, where something is real time or it's a nice little nod to, I don't know. It's just a fun kind of part of the movie. And keeping this in the first day of Ethan's training or Hoyt's training, it's a little bit brilliant. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it really works well thematically because in a lot of ways, even though I've seen this before, I mean, there's so much of this movie. I'm like, wait, is this how it really is? Like, there's so many thoughts I had about like how far from reality is this movie in terms of like what it could be like the experience. I know a lot of it is, exaggerated in certain ways, but parts of it you're like, well, could this be like the way it is? So I like that.
I loved 24 when that show came out. I might have loved 24 more than Lost when that show was coming out with Kiefer Sutherland. And then like they did like one season where he came back after being imprisoned for an off season and he was like off his game. He like couldn't man up anymore.
Yeah, it's a great gimmick. Well, I'm 24, man. You like the cliffhangers in that show, like they had you tied. Like there's you had to watch.
I might need to go back. Maybe I stop X-Files, my X-Files rewatch and do 24.
Be careful. That's like 100 episodes.
Pardo, what's at the top of your list for this rewatch?
The top of my list, and I'm not really quite sure how to totally describe it, but I kept having this thought the whole time watching it, is that this feels to me in a lot of ways like a fairy tale almost. Maybe like an urban fairy tale. There's something about the way it's presented, and maybe like of just like this character of Hoyt being this almost like a white knight, right? Like he comes in, he's got like this view of the world that it works a certain way. Like he's come riding in that he's gonna do the right thing and right the wrongs, and then he discovers what the world is really like. And even like Denzel's character, I think they do such a great job in this of like really blurring the line and like keeping you questioning of like, well, does it make sense? Like the things that he's doing, like he makes some really great arguments throughout this movie of that, like we need to do these things if we want to win. Like the means justify the ends. This is how the world really works. Like it's not like the police academy. When you're out on the street, this is how it functions. So even that of like him being like almost like this figure of like this hero who is like falling from grace over this 24-hour period in Hoyt's mind of like, and he keeps kind of going like up and down of like, he's a bad guy. Oh, maybe he has a point there. Oh no, he's a bad guy. Oh, but this does kind of make sense. Like, this speech he gave me. And then even like the final scene, I kept thinking of like the final scene of seeing Hoyt walk back into this neighborhood. It's like, it felt like a knight like walking back into the dragon's lair almost. So I don't know if like that totally works, but there was something about it that felt that way to me, that like it's maybe idyllic in certain ways. I don't know, but like that's just like a thought that kept coming back to me while I was watching this.
Yeah, I did read some thoughts about like how Hoyt walks through the town as almost like a white savior-ish, where it was almost like quietly propaganda, where like the one good cop, and they were kind of like dispelling some of the historical problems with the LAPD and stuff. But that scene where he walks through the town, and it's like, if you don't catch early in the movie where those dudes like badmouth Alonzo, like when it like you miss that scene, why they let him in. And it's so powerful too when he's like, I'm here for Alonzo, and they just like step aside. Like that was so badass. Like that whole thing was so cool. I was like, hell yeah, go wreck his ass. I'm ready for it.
Excuse me.
I did think though that when he decides to go back and get Alonzo, I'm like, dude, I would just go home and crawl into bed in the fetal position.
Right. Well, he does he talks about how he had this plan. It's revealed that he's had this plan for like weeks for Hoyt, right?
Yeah.
And he probably pulled strings to get Hoyt in because he thought he was like a moldable young rookie to bring him into the fold. And like you can kind of see it in a few scenes where he looks like very impressionable, where he could probably he was pretty right on. Like I could get this guy to be like me and have another asset.
I actually thought maybe about halfway through Because I had that feeling too, like, oh, I can mold this guy to be the next guy in my crew. But then I was like, maybe he was just set up to be murdered the whole time. Like he was always going to be the fall guy. I don't know. It almost felt like a little too. He's literally taking this Boy Scout who wants to be super detective, cleaning up LA from drugs, and thinking he's going to just in one day put this guy through this kind of ringer and think he's just going to drop and turn. I got to the point where I was like, I don't believe that. I feel like he was set up to be killed the entire time.
I mean, there was the scene, he probably would have known that like, okay, I got this rookie coming in the day that we should be able to get the $1 million. So like, this is the moment. If he says yes to taking the money, then we're golden. And I have this guy. But then like he says no and then gets freaked out a couple times. And that's when he's like, all right, I got to cut this guy loose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right because I love the foreshadowing, or maybe it's not really foreshadowing, but after that scene, you know, Hoyt puts the shotgun in Lonzo's face. When he goes out to the car and Lonzo's talking on the phone, the thing that he says on the phone, he says, make sure that the bathtub is clean, which is he's already, so like at that point, it feels like, oh, he failed the test. This guy's not going to work. And he's going to cut him loose at that point. So I think you're right about that. Like that was the real test of like, will he fall for the money or not?
Also, like, how bad do you feel too when you start to slowly realize that like you are effed at this poker table?
That
like,
poker table, I wanted to throw up. I wanted to throw up when they have him like sit down. They start taking out. They took his magazine from. I'm like, nope. I hate this moment right now. Like I was out of my skin. I wanted out of that scene so bad.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Why would you even ever hand over your gun though? Like as a cop.
What is happening?
Like isn't that page 1 of like the handbook? Just don't hand someone your gun. Especially gang members at a card table.
Please.
when they greet you with pig, maybe don't hand them your gun.
Seems like a bad idea.
But I love how that almost like ties back to the beginning where Alonzo was telling him like, you have to be able to like roll with these people. Like you have to speak their language. You have to be in with them. And I feel like you could almost see Hoyt thinking about that in that scene of like, man, if I don't give him my gun right now, they're going to think I'm just a pig, really. Like I'm not one of them.
And I think they did like toe the line very well in that scene. Cause like you could see them kind of having some sort of rapport happening, you know, with some boys at the table making jokes like, all right, maybe they're cool, or no, they're actually just going to kill him like this whole time. And I thought that was pretty well done.
God, I'm going to throw up just thinking about it.
Please don't throw up tonight, Danny. We have Apex season 22.
Like Snoop Dogg in a wheelchair trying to hide.
Snoop Dogg almost beat him while he was in the wheelchair. He was bodying Hoyt. Is that your first point, Danny? Snoop Dogg in a wheelchair?
Snoop Dogg is stronger than I thought he was. Actually, my first point, I thought this movie looked incredible. And from not just from like, I mean, LA grunge, I don't think that's like terribly hard to like photograph, but using these like these like film locations, the color grading in this, I thought was incredible too. I mean, outside of like him high on PCP or whatever, I thought that was awesome, but it was like whatever. This movie looks so good. The blocking, the shots in this film when they're having their conversations in the car. I mean, we spend most of the time in this film, it feels like, in the car and the two of them having these conversations, but every different kind of angle that this is filmed at where there's conversations, it keeps like, it feels like how this film is shot is how like the movie is progressing in some way, the feelings of these conversations. It's really impressive to me. Yeah, I thought it was amazing. And then when I watched a little bit of kind of like a making of, and it was Antoine got these locations filmed that are actual kind of gang areas where cameras are really never allowed to be in. And just having the location shot and having the gang members in these films, there was a story that was like quickly said that Antoine's from like the projects, I think of Pittsburgh or somewhere. And a film crew came to his like area, and that's what kind of got him into films. And it showed like kids like standing by watching them make Training Day. So it looked like almost bittersweet, but just the visuals of this film, I was kind of in love with. Everything just looked incredible.
I just looked up the cinematographer Mauro Fiori. Listen to this top 5 most popular films shot by Mauro. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay.
Avatar. Madam Web.
Am I?
This is a roller coaster right now.
Training Day and X-Men Dark Phoenix.
I'm going to throw up.
That is crazy. He also did The Equalizer with Antoine and Denzel again. And I know that, I think Antoine, I'm looking up Antoine's filmography as well because I'd be curious, but the Equalizer movies are like beloved. He did The Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal, that Netflix movie about like the dispatcher desk movie. The Magnificent Seven, Olympus Has Fallen, and then he did Shooter with, who potentially could be cast as Jesus in the next Passion of Christ, Mark Wahlberg.
I'm looking at the banner of Magnificent Seven, and it has Denzel and Ethan Hawke on it.
Excuse me.
They're in that movie together.
The spiritual sequel.
Exactly.
Chris Pratt also in that.
As well.
Makes you think.
This feels like a John Berthal movie. Is he? No.
Listen, John, I'm listening. I'm listening,
everyone.
John. If you're going to put a pod episode out about the filming of that movie, I'm going to listen to it.
Yeah.
Is it my turn? I think.
Sure.
Maybe. How about the G-Shock that Ethan put on at the start of the movie? Did you catch that?
Yes.
I think, he looks at it later in the movie, too.
Proto, your next point.
Gonna get an angry iTunes review about how I just wanted to talk about the $10 G-Shock that Ethan wore. Let's talk about Denzel. Denzel, obviously magnificent in this movie. He looks so young in this. Both of them look so young in this movie. It's like hard for me to mentally grapple still that this movie's over 20 years old, but they look great. Like Denzel looks like he's never looked better.
God.
I mean, his fit in this movie, his
Incredible.
confidence is like off the charts. Just absolutely staggering. He's got so many great lines, most of which I can't repeat. There's just, they're amazing in this movie. I didn't realize, or maybe I had forgotten that his King Kong line was improvised towards the end where he makes that like speech.
I'm the man up in this piece. You'll never see the light of day. Who the fuck you think you fucking with? I'm the police. I run shit here. You just live here. Yeah, that's right. You better walk away. Go on, walk away, because I'm going to burn this motherfucker down. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
But yeah, this is definitely one of my top 20 Denzel movie performances. Danny, what about you?
I think Denzel's electric in this. It's just, I think some of my favorite moments is when they're having the conversations in the car, but it's after, so he has all this like convincing of Ethan, that what he's doing is like, whatever, the part of the job. But then like Ethan will do something and he kind of brings Ethan back with this like, praise of what Ethan just did, as if he's like proud of him, like some sort of like father figure, like when he beat up the guys assaulting the girl or something, like, oh, you're in, or he was like shocked or like happy for him. But I just, there's like these moments when he goes from being this confident like asshole to like this almost fatherly figure, like proud of what Ethan's doing and kind of like twisting and manipulating him even further, that he just kind of switches on and off so well that I'm not shocked that he won the Oscar for this. I don't know any other, whatever happened else that year Oscar wise, but man, every scene Denzel, I'm just glued to the screen watching every movement he does.
Yeah, he's a total force. Like people talk about like, oh, he's a force of nature. Like really, this character in this movie, like he is the movie for the most part. And I love that too, of how I love the thing about his character is that no matter what happened a minute before, and it could have been a complete surprise, like, Hoyt throwing him on the couch and putting the shotgun in his mouth. And Lonzo is like not phased at all as a person. He's like, all right, you got it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, baby. And you're just like, how could you be on and like ready for every single encounter, no matter, while also you find out at the end that he's got a bounty on his head that he has 24 hours to meet, or he's a dead man. Like that as well, like the pressure that would be on this guy, like the moving parts in his life that are going on. And once you know all that, this character of Denzel, it's like believable. Like it's totally believable that this guy could handle all this from his performance. And that's really incredible. I had this one thought while I was thinking about Denzel in this movie. I was thinking, like, actors have like three categories of things. Like you can have looks, you can have charisma, and you can have acting skill. And some people get by on one of those. Some of them have two. Like I think of like Joaquin Phoenix, like he has really great skill, but I don't know if he's like hired for his charm or like his looks, but he's a great actor. But then there's like people like, I would say like Nick Cage and Keanu are kind of like, they have like a lot of charisma and they've like built this persona over the years that like kind of continues on. I mean, Nick Cage, he can act good. It's kind of hit or miss, I think. But I think Denzel is like one of those rare actors who has like all three of those and like has them in spades. Like, I mean, his mouth work is like amazing. Like the way he like licks his lips and smiles and shows his teeth and like smiles at it's just perfect.
He has like the greatest walk in the history of film. Like his swagger walking into that town, into the house to find, Eva Mendes. He bagged Eva Mendes, and that town hates him. And he goes in there and brings his rookie cop in there.
Just sit on the couch.
Take a nap.
Take a nap. Who knows how much time passed in that moment? And there was also like that scene too where he's grinning. It was early on where you get the idea or the impression that, sorry, the light just went off. I thought I lost electricity. You get the impression that he knows that he has a moldable rookie cop. Because remember, like early in the movie, he asks Ethan something and Ethan's like laughing, like, I don't know what to think. And Denzel's like, good. Like he knows like he has him potentially. And there's just so many scenes like that. Yeah, like when Hoyt is like beating up the rapists, he finally gets there, he just takes out cigarettes. He's like, to watch, to see how he can handle this, event. It's so crazy.
And what I love about his character too is how when we're first introduced to him at breakfast, it is like pedal to the metal right away. Denzel is on his ass at breakfast, trying to read a paper or order breakfast. Tell me a story. This is the best story you could come up with. You made me stop reading my paper for this story. Like he is on his ass right away, and he just doesn't let go until he's killed by the Russians.
It's incredible. Ethan in that scene too. Like Ethan, he just like looks like a fish out of water, like not ready at all.
Yeah,
they're so great together.
Their chemistry together is nuts. Like right at the onset. Like remember he tells him to shut up for like the final time, and the camera just stays on Ethan reacting to that for like what felt like 5 minutes because he didn't know what to do, and he's like thinking of every possible option he has there. It was insane.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I will get a menu. No, that time's passed.
Proto? Second one?
Back to what Danny was saying just about like the way this movie looks. I think it's gorgeous too. We were just talking about the scene in the beginning when they're getting breakfast or reading the paper. Like even the way that's shot, I mean, it just looks so good. And in a lot of ways, this is turning out to be car month because I mean, his Monte Carlo in this is, gosh, when he first turns that on and they roll out
the needle
of the
drop
parking lot. Oh my God, that needle drop.
Kidding me?
But I feel like this whole movie, it very much has, it feels like it's structured of like the scenes are very much like as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, oh, it's this scene. Maybe in a way that like when I watch a Tarantino movie where like each scene feels like crafted in a way and very specific that I know what to expect. One of the other scenes that I loved in this is the wise men scene where they go to the restaurant and he sits down with the DA and the other two. To me, that felt like a Martin Scorsese scene. Like that's like such a gangster scene. Like the lighting in that restaurant, the smoke. I mean, it's just so good. I was just eating all that up.
And you could see too that like he has a respect, or he's like aware of their power. Like that was the first like scene early on where you could see that he has that like feeling towards other people that hold something over him. Like he needs them. That was a cool scene. Danny, next point.
Yeah, we quickly touched on it, but I did want to talk about Ethan a little more. When you bring up Training Day, it's always talked about Denzel, and rightfully so. But to be able to like act alongside of Denzel, and I can't speak on like if there was some other actor, would Denzel, I don't know, would his performance been as good if it wasn't someone as good as Ethan? Because I feel like Ethan playing off of Denzel's performance elevated the two of them to like a deservedly nominations and winning of these roles, because Ethan is so good in this. I couldn't get over his story arc from being what you said, Proto, like fish out of water at breakfast, to like literally turning on Denzel by the end of the film, and like an incredible kind of 36 hours of a training day. It's something that I feel like this has to be like shown in every like film class, some sort of performances. You have two incredible powerhouses in this film portraying two completely opposite people. And it's an incredible thing to see.
And you don't even know where the character goes at the end of this movie. Like, I couldn't remember if he went to internal affairs at some point.
I thought he got followed home at the end. There was like a car that followed him into the neighborhood. I thought, really? Oh God, it's almost over again for him.
Yeah, like I wonder, did he stay a cop? Like, what was his future like after that night? You have no idea, because he's
you have to watch Magnificent Seven.
You have to watch Swordfish. Spiritual sequel to also Training Day. I mean, John Travolta in many ways is a white Alonzo from
Goodness
Training
gracious.
Day.
Without the Oscar.
How about that peanut butter ass story they told the Three Wise Men?
Oh my God, yeah.
That was foul.
That got to a point where I'm like, this is like, you tell the story around the dinner table as a joke. There's no way someone's getting an insane ruling after that.
Can you imagine doing that to somebody as like a prank? Like you doing it to some, like one of your friends?
It's a great
and like
idea.
rubbing it in their face.
Oh God. It took a little too far.
I want to talk about the ending, because, they have this big standoff in front of the local people, around Ava's house that revile Lonzo, and they're surrounding him. They kind of realize that they have a chance to kind of remove his power over them, so to speak. And I honestly couldn't remember what happened at the end of this movie. I was like, oh wait, so does this crew kill Lonzo after Ethan Hawke, like they tell him to walk away, like we got this? But then he doesn't, they don't, at least from what I can see, they don't do anything to him. He leaves the town, he drives away, and then the Russians get him. I was kind of confounded by the ending of this movie. Like, why didn't they just pistol whip him after Ethan Hawke walked away? Like, I thought that's what was going to happen. Like, they finally maybe just get their revenge on him, but it doesn't happen. How did you guys view the ending?
The only thing I thought of was they knew about the Russians somehow. So letting him go, they knew he was going to be killed that night because he didn't have the million or the cash or whatever. I don't know. It was an interesting kind of ending. I didn't hate it, but that was just kind of like, whatever. It's fine.
I kind of took it as if they killed him there and there's a decorated detective, narcotics officer dead in their neighborhood, that's bad news for their whole neighborhood. I mean, it's already bad news for them, right? But like, if there's a dead cop there, you're like you're screwing it for everybody in there.
Right.
So, but I like that too. I feel like they somehow might have known that there was something wrong, and like he was a dead man anyway.
Right. I guess I would have liked someone like to say something like that. Like someone, the guy who took the gun, to say that like, get the F out of here. You're dead in 2 hours or something like that. Like, we don't need to kill you. You're dead. Also, I just have to say, after this movie ended, Paramount Plus started auto-playing Miss Congeniality.
Excuse me.
That was the suggested movie.
It's a spiritual prequel.
I don't know what piece of metadata needs to be updated in the app, but they need to update it.
She was a narc in that as well.
I mean, as soon as it started playing, I was like, am I watching?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
So I guess it sort of worked.
The other thing I love about the ending is, and I don't know if this was planned, but the amount of spit that comes out of Denzel's mouth at the end there, it's the spit and the blood.
Yeah,
like it looks so great. But I was like, how do you plan that? Or like, was that planned?
Yeah, there's a moment where he actually spits, and it is a giant wad of saliva.
It's a lot of liquid. I also loved him too. Like when he gets shot a million times, he's like crawling out of the car and he's like trying to pick himself up. He's got like no bodily functions working, and he's trying to like stand up. It was so funny.
I'm glad you're laughing at that scene.
Poor Denzel. Pardo, final point.
Final point. Yeah, I love the dialogue in this too. I mean, I think it looks great. The acting's amazing, but it also is like such a great script. Like I loved all of those moments of the arguing about the way that this job should be done between Denzel and Ethan. Like I thought that was so great. Like it takes a wolf to catch a wolf scene.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know, him explaining all that. Like that's just, it's such good writing. I loved all that. And then like there's a lot of like callbacks of like the things that Lonzo was trying to instill in Hoyt and teach him about the way the world works. This like the evidence stuff. I love how like Hoyt at the end says like the money says, that's my evidence. You want to go to jail or you want to go home? Like quoting Denzel from earlier. So there's a lot of great things that like tie in about the things that Lonzo was trying to teach him throughout the day that he like turns the tables on him. So it's very satisfying.
Yeah, I had that wolf line written down too. So good. One other line I had, all that jelly and no toast. I'd read a book written by Lonzo. Absolutely. I mean, the amount of gems that he would have in that book, cripes. One thing I just thought of, but there was an incredible shot when they're fighting and Hoyt gets thrown on the roof and the camera pans down to see Lonzo walking down the stairs and then the light is coming through the gate. Like,
yeah,
that was a wild shot. That was gorgeous. Danny, final point?
Final point. I had, there's a moment where I was frustrated with this film, and it begins with the Three Wise Men segment and kind of goes forward. I was so confused on the story, on what was happening with the Russians. I understood that he owed them money, but the whole plot to get the money back by having the crew go jump his, I thought was a friend. Then I'm just completely confused on who the guy is now. The guy that looks like Spock. I just didn't understand that segment. And then I was just kind of like thrown, like, I understand they're like, trying to set up this, I don't know, scene to have the money given back so he can pay back the Russians, et cetera, et cetera. But by that point, I'm like, what is happening? Like, why are they doing this to his friend? Was this his first contact? I don't know. I got really frustrated at the story at that bit. I don't know if you guys felt at all the same way with kind of how that played out, but I was just lost for a few minutes and it really bugged me.
They definitely didn't give you much. Like they dripped the plot, like the Russian stuff over the course of like the whole movie. And I think when he was hanging out with his friend, he alludes to, I don't know if that was like his old partner or like, because he says like
his first informant.
His first informant. He's like, yeah, you were the same way he was when you first started out, or when I was talking with you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And then I think like the full reveal of the Russian story doesn't happen until the bathtub scene, right? Like right before that. they tell him during the card game the backstory of the Russian.
Yeah, that's like the second time they tried to tell it. I think the Three Wise Men setup, they kind of allude to the Vegas situation with the Russians and that he owes them that money, but it's just so kind of vague that I'm just confused on how it's playing out a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually liked it. Because a couple of my notes, I was like, what the hell is the story with the Russians? What did he do in Vegas? And then eventually you find out. So I did like that.
Yeah, I felt like I kind of remembered this from when I watched it previously. But I like how they really do like drip it out. There's like maybe 4 or 5 lines about it until the end. So it's like all there threaded through the movie, but they don't really explain it mostly till the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it works.
Yeah. And I think what also bugs me is it's just like all of a sudden there's Russians and they're never a part of this movie. And then it's just like, you mean to tell me you didn't see the giant Hummer right next to you at the stoplight? You were that distracted by a lady smoking a cigarette in a Mercedes? Like that whole segment where he got trapped at the end. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, also, was she Russian too? Because that car didn't go anywhere really when he was getting shot.
Maybe she was like the bait. It was very weird how
she
that
does
all
show
of a
up.
sudden.
Her car is like ends up behind him, blocking him in.
Oh yeah, so she must have been a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the Russians in this are kind of like God in the Machine kind of ending. Like it's like somehow this character has to die.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe for the story, we don't want it to be the gang members and we don't want it to be Hoyt. So we need some other kind of element.
Here are the Russians.
What about Russians?
From Vegas.
Yeah, bring the Russians.
Vegas Russians. Honorable mentions, Ethan wearing Robert Downey Jr. sized wide pants. That was my first note. Very wide-legged. You gonna smoke that? No, you are. And then Denzel's laugh in that scene is nuts. It's like they cut 3 different laughs together to one long laugh. But that Denzel does the hand kiss to forehead move. That's a very Denzel move, where he like his son, Father of the Year. Also, Macy Gray, when they use that fake warrant to steal the Sandman's money.
Christ alive.
She's bad mouthing Hoyt from the couch. Where was Oscar for Macy Gray? You shot me in the ass. Great line. I'm at 4 stars for Training Day.
Goodness.
I had a great time. Visually, there's some visual snap to this movie for sure. I had a great time. I've gone through, I was curious about some other Denzel movies, like, because they reteamed for 3 Equalizer movies. Incredible. And I thought that maybe like I could get some Man on Fire vibes from those Equalizers. I didn't love them. And like, I think I just reread my Equalizer 1 review and I said like, if Steven Seagal was the lead of this movie, this would be the greatest Steven Seagal movie ever made. But it's like Denzel in this movie. So it almost feels like Denzel is stepping down a little bit in the role. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but very interesting filmography. Proto?
Honorable mentions. I saw some reviews, people talking about feeling that this movie like lacked maybe like a theme or like a message. And I think that can be true. I think I didn't come away with feeling that it maybe necessarily said anything in particular. But like the more I thought about it, I really like the idea that how like Ethan Hawke's character is an example of Denzel's character as well, but just at the beginning of his career, and how like they start at the same place and Ethan could go in the same way. So kind of like how even with like the best intentions, when you go down the road of like being persuaded to do bad things for like good ends, how it can like corrupt you from the inside. And like we kind of see like the ultimate conclusion of that in Alonzo. How, I mean, he is just like, he's really like scum, where he'll sacrifice anyone and everyone. And even like that scene where, Hoyt gets sold off to be killed how they're like bad mouthing Alonzo, like he's like the worst dude.
Yeah.
Like you cannot trust him. Like he's just the worst. So I like that. I feel like that's the thing that I take away most with this movie. And I think it's really compelling, especially from like the seeing somebody in power and like where they could go with that. What else? Oh, when he says, Hoyt says, should have been a fireman. I mean, that is a clear Jumanji homage. It's insane. I say that line all the time. And then I thought another homage. I love the scene with the doves. Like the idea that what he drives into the neighborhood, they let doves out. I mean, that's shot beautifully too. Just like this flock of doves. But maybe an On the Waterfront homage right there for those who've seen it. Check it out.
Okay.
Marlon Brando. Oh yeah, and then at the end, Lonzo saying, "What a day! What a day! What a day indeed." I'm at 4 stars as well. I think this movie is, man, it's a delight. It's a treat. I love every aspect of it. I think it's gorgeous, perfectly acted. I mean, why not 5 stars? Respect my privacy. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Did he?
I think the only other note I have is, are having musicians as actors a good thing? I mean, Snoop is fine. Dre's okay. Macy Gray is Macy Gray.
Oh yeah, Dre.
I didn't think Dre was great at all.
It was
this
fine.
movie.
It was
I
very-
don't know. He
I
was
don't know.
struggling a bit, I think.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah. I love this film. I think just watching it for the performances of Denzel and Ethan alone is worth the price of admission. I do struggle with the story kind of once we get into the weeds with the Russians. So I'm at 4 stars as well.
Okay. Little known fact,
Sure.
box office is not important. We've settled this debate. Don't consider this a defining factor, but we talked about Fall Guys box office was at 27 mil. Training Day is rated R, 22 million box office.
Goodness. But in 2001, that's like $1 billion.
That is that's Endgame back
Yeah,
then
that's Endgame,
for
right.
LA crime thrillers.
This could have been Antoine's MCU.
We have a voicemail to listen to, and I remembered. So props to me.
Okay.
Let's listen to that right now. It comes from Anna Gould.
Oh,
Hey guys, it's Anna. Big fan of the show. First time, long time. I'm so tickled that you think I'm up to something with my intern upgrade. I just wanted to see what the hubbub was all about, honestly, with these Cage picks, these audio commentaries, these occasional drops that come. It was time. I did have a quick question about the tier that probably could have just been a DM. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
I just wanted to know the viability of submitting a Chesty Morgan picture into the page. You guys brought her up recently during the Serial Mom episode, which was great, by the way. And she's just got a fantastic pair of films to choose from. One where she kills mobsters using her giant boobs. And then there's another one where she's a spy using a camera surgically implanted in them. It's essential cinema. Just want to check the temperature and save some headaches. It could be a little controversial, I know. I'll take my answer off the air. Happy Protopendence.
Happy Protopendence. Why aren't we wishing each other happy
Yeah.
Protopendence
we should salute.
during the month of August? Oh my God. Thank you, Anna. And thank you for becoming an intern. I mean, Chesty Morgan. Can you imagine an audio commentary watching one of those movies?
Oh my God.
We wouldn't even be able to post a video of that to Patreon, I don't think. You need to sync that up
I
yourself.
don't know what sites I'd have
Put
to
it on the
find that.
dark web.
Thank you, Anna. I wonder if Anna is coming to our meetup, Psycho, August 31st.
You heard it here first.
The tickets are going fast, folks. August 31st. It's happening in mere weeks from this episode dropping.
Mhm.
We will be there in person, talking before the movie goes up. I can't wait. And we're having a little gathering afterward for those that have RSVP'd. All right. What's next week? Let me pull up my little list here. I had it. I made that Patreon post today and I already forget. What's
I can tell
next? What's next?
Minority Report.
Oh, God.
Podcast Vampire Be Damned. Tom Cruise. Finally
Samantha
on the show.
Morton. Oh, my God.
His time.
It's huge.
This isn't our first Tom, is it?
No, we did Color of Money.
We did. Yeah, you guys hated it. Or which one of you hated it?
Frodo.
Sounds right.
Ah, boy, Tom Cruise. You know he's closing the Olympics when it ends October.
Forever.
Halloween
He's
night.
closing it forever.
He's doing some
Shutting it
kind of
down.
stunt.
He's running from LA to Paris, right?
Other way
That's what I
around.
heard,
Yes.
yeah. And then he's getting in a chopper.
From Paris to
Wow.
LA.
Minority Report synopsis, 2.5 hours. John works with the pre-crime police, which stop crimes before they take place with the help of 3 precogs who can foresee crimes. Events ensue when John finds himself framed for a future murder. Oh my God, I can't wait to rewatch this.
I'm so excited. I've only seen it the one time, so this is...
What?
I actually don't even know what happened in this film. Now that I think about it.
What?
I know. I'm very excited.
Oh,
No.
Spielberg too.
I know.
Oh, God. I mean, Tom and Steven together.
They had something cooking for a little bit of time.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Streaming on Paramount Plus, America's Network. There's no 4K of this, we don't think, right? We searched
We'll
that
get
last
into it.
time.
It'll be announced this week.
And then pulled from streaming.
Okay. I'm excited. Tom back on the show. 2002, same era.
Gosh. Some would say the golden age.
We'll get into it again. Pardo, any closing thoughts this week?
Yeah, I wanted to give an update on my watching the documentary, The Story of Film,
Yeah,
an
how's it going?
Odyssey. I'm back in the game. I watched through 4 episodes, and it goes through the history of film chronologically. But what's cool about it, it's not the history of Hollywood, it's the history of film. So it's like from an international perspective. So it's about all kinds of things, all kinds of directors I never heard of, especially we're talking 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, international directors. So it's very cool. I'm like learning about things directors I've never even heard of. But I don't think it's not something you have to watch in order. You can watch different episodes too, because it's just, it's just different periods of time. But I want to throw this out to you, Danny, maybe you might be interested in this. Episode 4 covers the 1930s, and he covers what he calls the greatest director of the 20th century. And he gives 7 reasons why Alfred Hitchcock is the greatest director.
I'm watching it.
So, you can just turn that one on
Heck yes.
and watch it.
My sweet prince, Alfred.
We'll see everybody next week for Minority Report, Steven Spielberg. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And If you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.